I'm back in a new place. I've officially moved into my new apartment and I'm very excited because I finally have an office again. My office was just a corner of my living room before, which honestly worked out fine. Like, I didn't even hate it, but it's kind of nice because I have like a craft room slash office now. I have been unpacking for a week straight. I'm a hoarder. Like, I have a shopping addiction. It's not a secret, but I'm finally at a stopping point. I have not worked all week because I've been trying to get everything done, and oh my god. I sat down to film this video a couple days ago and I didn't even finish the video. Like, it was insane. So I'm refilming it because what? I was like so overwhelmed with everything I had to do. I'm rambling right now. I'm sorry. I was so overwhelmed with everything I had to do that I just was like, I can't work. You have to work. You have to work to survive. Anyways, this is an exciting video because I have an update to a scary story. We actually have 3 more parts and the final part to a scary story I read a couple weeks ago. I'm going to read all of the parts in this video because in my last attempt I only read 1 part, which is insane. It would have been a 5-minute video. So this will be part 2, part 3, and the finale to I faked being sick in my childhood, and now I'm starting to remember what happened that week. Trigger warning for animal harm, nothing too graphic, but needs to be mentioned. I didn't plan to keep posting. I didn't plan on dreaming about her either. I could hear her bark again, clear as day. Same sound, same hallway. I could smell the attic. It seems the memories from that week are haunting me again, and I need to tell them to someone. So here we go. Tuesday, 2003. Tuesday morning started with the sound of toenails tapping across the hardwood floor and a wet tongue slapping against my cheek. Ugh, Molly, stop. She ignored me, of course, tail wagging like windshield wipers, tongue flopping happily as she tried to crawl up into the bed. All fluff and energy and mismatched eyes, one blue, one brown. A total spaz, but she was mine. Molly was only a year old and already too smart for her own good. She could open the back screen door with her nose and once figured out how to knock over the trash can and get the lid off with her paws. Dad said that she had the soul of a thief. Mom said she had the heart of a toddler. She was always the best part of staying home. After I managed to push her back onto the floor, I rolled over and let out a long, pitiful cough, just in time for the hallway footsteps. Dad popped his head in this time. Still sick, huh? I nodded with the saddest eyes I could manage. He rubbed his jaw, looking tired already. All right, but you're going back tomorrow if you're not running a fever. I mean it this time. I know. He lingered for a moment, then gave me a wink and said, "You're lucky I like you." Molly followed me everywhere that day. When I poured cereal, she sat next to my chair, ears perked. When I watched reruns of Rocket Power, she curled up on the rug with her head on my foot. When I went to the bathroom, she waited outside the door like a little bodyguard. It was comforting. At first. But around noon, she started acting weird. We were sitting in the living room. I had a bowl of popcorn and she was laying on her side, chewing the foot off of a plushy dragon. I was flipping channels, half watching The Price is Right, when her head shot up. She stared at the hallway, ears rigid, body frozen. "Molly?" I said. She let out a low growl. It was soft, barely there, but her lip curled and her eyes never left the open archway that led to the hall. The kind of growl I'd only heard when a strange dog came into the yard. I turned the volume down and I listened. Nothing. No footsteps, no creaking, just the hum of the TV and the rain tapping against the window, but Molly wouldn't stop staring. I got up, heart starting to thud in my chest, and moved towards the hallway, slowly. I didn't want to, but something about the way she bristled, I had to. Every door was closed. The air was still, except the hall closet, again, cracked open just an inch. "Seriously?" I muttered, more to myself than anyone. I reached out, ready to shut it, and froze. Inside it was pitch black, but I could feel something. Cold. Not like AC, not like a draft. Cold like a basement that's been sealed for years, like frost behind the walls. The kind of chill that shouldn't be possible in a closet without a vent. Molly barked. Loud. Sharp. I slammed the door shut and I jumped back. She came racing down the hall, barking at the closet now, pacing in front of it, growling deep in her throat. "Molly, stop." I grabbed her collar and pulled her back towards the living room. Her body was stiff, fur standing up along her spine. Eventually she calmed down, but she didn't take her eyes off the hallway for the rest of the day. And that night, I couldn't sleep. Again. The ceiling fan creaked above me, wobbling slightly on its mount. Molly was curled at the foot of the bed, one ear twitching every so often. I stared at the ceiling, blanket pulled to my chin. 2:17 a.m. Then she sat up. No warning, no sound, she just rose slowly, ears perked, body alert, and started growling. I whispered, "What is it?" She didn't look at me. She looked at the wall beside my bed, the one that backed up to the hallway. And then I heard it. Thud. Not loud, not quick. A slow, dragging scrape inside the wall, like something heavy being pulled across old insulation. Like something with nails. Something that wasn't a mouse. Molly started barking, frantic now, wild. I dove out of bed and turned on the light. Silence. The barking stopped. She stood there, tail stiff, breathing hard, watching the wall. I didn't move for a long time. I don't remember falling asleep. One second I was staring at the ceiling, Molly curled at the foot of my bed. The next I was jolting awake in the dark to the sound of her barking. Again. But this time it wasn't from the bed. It was farther away. I sat up, my heart already pounding. Molly? No answer, just the sound of claws skittering down the hallway, sharp and fast. A bark, a yelp, then silence. Molly? I threw off the blanket and ran out of the room, feet slapping against the hardwood. The house was dark. Only a sliver of moonlight spilled through the kitchen window, casting long shadows down the hall. My breath caught in my throat. She wasn't there. Not in the hallway, not in the living room, not by the front door where she sometimes sat when she got anxious. I called her name again. Nothing. I rounded the corner just in time to hear it. A sudden thump above me like something had landed in the attic. Then I heard a whimper. High, soft, terrified. I looked up. The attic hatch was open. I don't remember deciding to move, I just did. I grabbed the pull string, brought down the ladder, and climbed 2 steps before Molly barked again. But this time it was cut short. A sharp sound like she had been yanked backwards by something strong. Then came the scratching. Violent, fast, wood against wood. I stopped cold. The attic was pitch black above me. I could smell something like copper and rot, sweet and sour and wrong all at once, and then a sound I'll never forget. A low, rasping breath, right at the edge of the hatch. Not hers, something else. I jumped back, slipped and landed on the hardwood floor. Then the hallway light clicked on. Dad stood at the end of the hall, squinting, rubbing his eyes. What the hell is going on? I think something's in the attic, I stammered. Molly ran up there somehow, and I heard he was already climbing the ladder. I begged him not to. Dad, please don't go up there. There's something bad. He just gave me a look. Not mean, not annoyed, just tired. She probably got into something. You scared her running around in the dark. He disappeared into the attic before I could stop him. I stood there, fists clenched, the whole house holding its breath. Then, Jesus, he muttered. Molly, hey girl, what'd you do to yourself? He came back down, cradling her in his arms. Her body was limp, her fur matted and wet. I reached out, but he shifted away. Don't. I think she may have gotten into something up there. There's a chewed up box near the insulation. May have been poison, rats or something. I stared at her. Her mouth was slightly open, her tongue lolled to one side. Her eyes, those mismatched eyes, were still. But she wouldn't go near poison, I whispered. She's a dog, Bud. They don't know better. But I did. She didn't eat something. She was attacked. Mom was sitting on the edge of her bed when I told her, still in her robe, hands clasped, like she was holding something that wasn't there. She's what? She asked, eyes wide. Dad took her to the vet. Jesus. She closed her eyes for a second, then nodded. Okay, come here. She pulled me close, kissed the top of my head, then patted the other side of the bed. Get in. Tori showed up a few minutes later holding her pillow and acting like she was only there because she felt sorry for us, but I saw her face. She was scared too. We all laid in Mom's bed, squished together under the floral quilt. Mom kept rubbing my back. Tori stayed very still, staring at the ceiling. And that's when we heard it. Thump, drag, scratch. From the attic, right above us. Tori sat up. What was that? Mom said nothing. We listened, holding our breath. It started again, soft at first. A dragging noise across the attic floorboards, slow and heavy like something being pulled. Then sharper scratching sounds near the vent like nails or claws tapping along the ductwork. I buried my face into Mom's side. The sound went on for hours. Sometimes they would stop. Sometimes they would return in bursts. At one point, we all flinched when something slammed hard, twice, against the attic floor. No one said a word. No one dared to move. I couldn't breathe for a second there writing that last bit. It's all coming back so fast. The attic hatch, the scratches, her eyes. I'm sitting here at my desk polishing off a bottle of whiskey as I type this out, and I swear I can hear the clicks of the nails on the hardwood floor in the hallway behind me. Last night I woke up drenched in sweat with my sheets wrapped around me like a noose. The dream was so vivid. I swear I could still smell the burnt insulation. I think it's the garage, being here again, breathing in the motor oil, the dust, the ghost of my father's laugh. I don't know, maybe I'm just unraveling, but I promised I would tell it all, didn't I? Here's what happened next. Wednesday, 2003. I was already awake when the door opened. The sun hadn't even crept over the treetops yet. My bedroom window was still gray and cold looking, and my clock read 6:32 a.m. Dad stepped inside, moving slow. He looked older than he had 2 nights ago. His shoulders were slumped, his eyes glassy and rimmed red. There was dirt on the knees of his jeans and blood on the hem of his shirt, just a little dried into the stitching. He smelled like metal and cold air. I sat up. Is she? He shook his head. She was gone by the time we got there, he said. They tried, but her heart stopped. She must have eaten that stuff hours earlier. I didn't say anything. He rubbed his face with one hand like he was trying to scrape the night off. I buried her under the maple tree, the one near the edge of the backyard, the spot that she used to dig holes and pretend to hide things in. I wrapped her up in that old quilt Mom didn't want anymore. She always liked sleeping on it. My throat burned. I nodded, but didn't trust myself to speak. He crossed the room and ruffled my hair gently. I'm sorry, bud. Then he left. I heard them talking in the kitchen later. I wasn't trying to eavesdrop. I was just sitting at the top of the stairs, knees pulled to my chest, staring at nothing. Their voices floated up, hushed but tight. She didn't get into poison, Dale, Mom was saying. That box was sealed. I looked at it this morning. There was a pause. Then maybe a raccoon dragged something up there, Dad replied, or a rat got into the bag and moved it. That doesn't explain the noises. I heard them last night and I know you did too. It's an old house, Becca. Pipes knock, wood shifts. But she was scared, Dale. She didn't want to go up there. You saw how she was. More silence. I could almost hear Dad breathing. She was just a dog, he said finally. I loved her, but dogs get into things. That's all it was. Mom didn't reply. A little while later, she came upstairs, knocked once, then peeked her head into my room. She didn't have makeup on, and her eyes were puffy. Hey, sweetheart. Hi. She came and sat on the edge of my bed, her fingers playing with the seams of the blanket. Your dad and I think it's okay for you to stay home today. I nodded. She smiled faintly. Just today, though, okay? Okay. I'm really sorry about Molly. I know. She leaned forward and kissed my head, then she left the room. I heard her soft footsteps retreat down the hall. I was alone again. Only I wasn't. Not really. Because from somewhere inside the walls, just barely loud enough to hear, something was breathing. I watched Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island that morning with the volume turned down low. It was my favorite movie. I'd worn out the VHS so bad that it had warped static lines that jittered across the middle of the screen every time Scooby screamed. I knew every line, every twist, but I couldn't focus. I kept thinking about her, about Molly. Her paws on the hardwood, tapping back and forth as she chased me around the kitchen island, the way she would curl up on the couch and push her nose under my arm when I was sad. Then I remembered the way she growled, low and sharp, the second the thing started moving in the attic. She knew. She knew something was up there, and now she's gone. And I was still here, alone. There was a part in the movie where Shaggy says, like, man, it's real this time, and Velma finally admits they're not dealing with people in rubber masks anymore, that it's actually real, the monsters are real. That line hit different now. I turned off the movie before it ended. The attic ladder still hung down, stretching from the hallway ceiling like a crooked spine. I'd walked past it 3 times already, peeking up but never stepping closer, just staring at the black square above. I didn't know what was up there, not exactly, but I knew what it wasn't. It wasn't a raccoon. It wasn't a rat. It wasn't the house settling. It was something that killed Molly. And no one else was going to do anything about it. So I went to my room and I dug through my toy box. There was a lot of junk in there. A cracked Tamagotchi, a broken Power Ranger, a stuffed Pikachu missing an eye. I tossed everything aside until I found what I was looking for. my old plastic lightsaber. The kind that snapped out with a flick of the wrist, red, Darth Maul style. I clicked the button, nothing happened. Battery was dead. I held it for a second, disappointed, but then a thought hit me. I could use it as a flashlight if I could get it working again. I didn't want to go up there blind. I scrambled over to my desk drawer and started digging. Loose paper clips, stickers, old gum, a bouncy ball, no batteries. Then I checked the kitchen junk drawer. Everyone has one. The drawer full of rubber bands, expired coupons, dead pens, takeout menus, and keys that don't unlock anything anymore. I dug past all of it. Bingo. 2 AA's, half rusted but better than nothing. I popped the battery cover off the saber and with my thumbnails slipped them in, held my breath, and flipped the switch. A low hum crackled to life. A red glow spilled out across the kitchen floor. It buzzed faintly in my hand like it used to. Warm, familiar. Stupid maybe, but it made me feel a bit safer. I turned off the kitchen light and swept the saber across the walls. It wasn't much, but it was enough to see in the attic. Enough to see what was waiting for me. Then I grabbed something else. My slingshot. I hadn't used it in months. I kept a Ziploc bag of marbles hidden behind my sock drawer. I tucked them into my hoodie pocket and slipped the slingshot into the waistband of my jeans like I had seen in movies. I stood in front of the mirror, hoodie zipped, lightsaber gripped tight. I didn't look brave. I looked like a scared kid with a plastic toy and a gut full of fear, but I had to know. I stepped into the hallway. The air under the attic was cooler than the rest of the house. Still, heavy. The wooden ladder creaked under my weight as I climbed one step at a time. When I reached the top rung, I paused. My hands were shaking, but I pushed myself up, slowly, onto the attic floor. The shadows swallowed me, and I didn't look back. The attic smelled like dust and wood rot and something else underneath, something faint but sour, like fruit left too long in a hot car. My lightsaber buzzed softly, casting a narrow red glow across the plywood floor. It didn't go far, just enough to paint my sneakers and the edge of the ladder in blood light. Everything beyond that disappeared into black. The air was warmer up here than I had expected. Stagnant. Still, like the attic hadn't been opened in years, even though I knew Dad had just been up here the night before. I took a step. The floor creaked beneath me, loud in the silence. Bits of insulation clung to the low beams above like pink moss. Cardboard boxes were stacked along the walls, some buckled from humidity, others leaking, old Christmas decorations or baby clothes. One had Toys, Tori, written in Sharpie, the letters smudged. Another step. I swept the saber light across the space. It glinted off tinsel, a metal folding chair, a cracked photo frame, and then movement. I stopped cold. Something darted in the shadows, fast, low. Too fast to be a rat. I spun around, the lightsaber trembling in my hand. The light wobbled across the beams and landed on something near the far end of the attic. A nest. At least, that's what it looked like. A mound of insulation, ripped cloth, chewed up paper, and something dark in the center that may have once been one of Molly's old toys. I wasn't sure. I didn't want to be. I took a step closer, heart pounding so loud it echoed in my ears. That's when I saw it. Scratches. Dozens of them. Clawed gouges in the wooden beams. Some low to the floor, some high, carved into the slanted rafters above, deep, wild, desperate. And then, something moved behind the nest. I froze. Not a sound, not a breath, just stillness. Then the insulation shifted, just a little, like something had curled deeper into it, like it was watching me from the inside. I turned off the lightsaber just for a second to see if I was imagining it. The attic went black, and in that moment, I heard it breathe. Low, wet, just behind the insulation. A noise I will never forget, like air dragging through a broken throat. I turned the lightsaber back on, too fast, panic slamming it into my hands. Nothing there. The nest hadn't moved, but the space behind it was darker than it had any right to be. Deeper than it should have gone, like the attic stretched on farther than it physically could, like something had tunneled into the house. I backed away, my foot hit a board wrong, and I let out a sharp crack. The breathing stopped. The nest rustled again. And from the shadows behind it, a shape began to rise. Not fully, just the suggestion of limbs. Elbows where they shouldn't be, a shoulder hunched at the wrong angle, a head that didn't move quite like a person's. I didn't wait. I turned and I ran. and the insulation exploded. Something erupted from behind the nest, shrieking in a voice that didn't belong to any animal I'd ever heard. Not high, not low, just wrong. Boards cracked under my sneakers, boxes toppled in my path, my lightsaber cast long, stuttering shadows ahead of me, but I didn't dare look back. The thing was behind me. I could feel it, its limbs slamming against the beams, its weight shaking the attic floor as it gained on me. The hatch was just ahead, open, glowing faintly with hallway light. I lunged, but my foot caught on a box, and I fell, hard. I hit the attic opening sideways, and my body dropped like a sack of bricks through the hole. My arm twisted underneath me as I landed on the hardwood with a crack so sharp I thought lightning had struck inside my bones. White-hot pain exploded through my wrist. I screamed, loud. My lightsaber clattered beside me, still glowing red. I looked up, wheezing through clenched teeth. The attic hatch was still open. Something moved at the edge. A hand. Long, thin, gray-blue skin stretched too tight, fingers too many, all of them ending in curved claws, yellowed and caked with black dirt. The hand reached out, but it didn't grab me. It pulled the attic door shut. Slam. Just like that, gone. Silence swallowed the hallway. I curled onto my side, cradling my arm. The pain was sharp and deep and nauseating. I couldn't stop shaking. I couldn't stop crying. My wrist was broken, and the thing in the attic had let me go. It didn't want to kill me. Not yet. It wanted me scared. I don't know how long I lay there crying before I heard Dad's voice. Jesus, what the fuck happened? Boots thudding on the hallway floor, the attic ladder was still swaying slightly, the ceiling above it eerily still. Then his hands were under me. Shit, your arm. Okay, I got you. Don't move. He lifted me as gently as he could, but I still gasped from the pain. My wrist was bent at a weird angle, already starting to swell. I bit the inside of my cheek to keep me from screaming again. Christ, you fell from the attic, he muttered, already carrying me down the hall. Why the fuck were you up there? I didn't answer. Not then. Not when Mom called from the living room in a panic. Not when Dad barked at her to grab his keys. Not when I was laid across the back seat of his truck, cradling my wrist in a towel that Mom had wrapped in ice. It wasn't until the waiting room when the nurse finally left and Dad slumped down in the chair beside me, rubbing his temples, that I finally said something. I wanted to see what got Molly. He looked at me, really looked at me. There was anger there, but it was buried under something worse. Fear. She didn't eat poison, I whispered. It got her. The thing in the attic. He didn't say anything at first, just leaned forward, elbows on his knees, hands laced together. He stared at the tile floor like I might give him an answer. Then finally, softly he said, "Listen to me." His voice was low, calm, controlled in the way that meant he was anything but calm. You stay out of the attic. I don't care what you think is up there. It is not your job to figure it out. Understood? I nodded, even though I didn't. Even though I knew something was still crawling above our heads. I woke up around 3 a.m. to the sound of something scraping wood. I thought it was a dream at first, but when I sat up in bed, my wrist heavy in its cast and my body aching all over, I heard it again. Scrape, scrape. Something was shifting above the ceiling. The attic. I opened my door and I peeked into the hallway. The ladder was gone. The string that used to hang from the attic hatch was no longer there. I squinted. A jagged piece of rope was still sticking out from the little metal hatch, but the end of it had been cleanly cut, the fraying string curling like an old shoelace. Dad had taken it down. He had cut it off so I couldn't reach. He wasn't just scared I would get hurt again. He was scared of what was up there. Oh my god, I just had a cough attack. You guys don't understand. You don't understand. My throat is so dry. Oh, you guys are gonna hate me for this. In the original video that I filmed of this, I only read part 2, and it was not very long. Like, my video was 12 minutes total, so it probably would have been 5 to 7 minutes, like, edited. That second part was so much longer than I thought it was going to be. I thought they were all going to be the same length as the first part, but it does make sense that they get longer as they go on. There's more details, and there's more stuff that happens, and blah, blah, blah. You guys, I physically cannot read the final part. I just scrolled. You guys, I don't even know how to describe to you. It is twice as long as part 2. And I did not say in there, like, when the second part ended and when I got into the third part, I just kept reading. Oh my god. But, like, the best way I can explain this to you. The bar on the right side of like your browser screen, when I click from part 3 to the final part, it is a fourth. It is a fourth. So it is 4 times as long, I believe. I think that's the math. So I am going to read the final part in its own video, but I will have it up next week. I promise. Like, I'm not gonna make you guys like sit and wait. I really wasn't expecting it to be like that long. Like, I've already been filming for 45 minutes or 35 minutes. And so this will probably be around a 20-minute video, I would assume. And I think the final part in itself is going to be probably 15 to 20 minutes, which is crazy. It's so like, but I'm so excited to finish it. My throat is just so dry. I think I would die if I tried to continue reading right now. Like, I could already feel my voice was so raspy during that. I was trying really hard not to make it raspy because I feel like that's kind of annoying. I'm literally sending it to myself. I'm telling myself I'm gonna film it tomorrow. I'm like, you're filming that bitch tomorrow. You're gonna do this. But that's all I'm gonna read for now. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm like so into this story. You guys, I want to be able to finish it so bad. I just don't think I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna be so miserable. My throat's gonna hurt so bad. And I don't want to do that to myself because I got a lot of shit to do. But I'm like, I'm gonna film it tomorrow. Tomorrow is Saturday. I don't care. I'll work on a weekend. Dustin, thank you so much. I know I was like, please send me part 2. I'm like, you delivered every single part. Like, that's amazing. And I love you so very much. I'm so excited to read the final part. I promise I'll have it up ASAP. And if you guys have any short, scary stories that you want to share with me or the community, I will have my subreddit linked down below. Other than that, I am going to go. I still got some little home projects I want to do today to finish up. I'll give you guys like a little bit of a house tour when I'm fully done. Also, ignore the tan I have right now, please. Anyways, I'm gonna go. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.